All right, welcome everybody to Gordium, where we generate, evaluate, and execute on startup ideas. I always forget the order as I go to say it. Um, Today, you're gonna get a peek inside our idea vault, where we crack it open once a day to pull out our favorite ideas, our favorite problems. And so today's problem is that we do things for information. No, we do things for success and not for information. And this is Neil's problem. So yeah, could you dig into this a little bit and maybe talk
Yeah,
about how you found it? And
yeah. So it started. I was reading the Great Influenza, and they were talking about all these researchers from the Spanish flu and sort of what they were doing afterward. And they sort of juxtaposed two of them. And one, they commented that he was researching tuberculosis, um, and he would run experiments and they would come up with results that he wasn't expecting, and he would just like say, well, that wasn't what I was expecting, let me figure out how I can run an experiment that leads to the success I want. Um so he sort of was in this, like,
hmm.
he'd never make any progress, and I thought, oh, that's really informative. And then I was filling it out and it was like, oh wait, I've got um some other connections. So that YouTube video is a video about information theory by Three Blue One Brown, um, talking about
Yeah.
what the best opening move is for Wordle. Um, and in that, he sort of discusses, well, this would be like the best word, or among the best words to choose, but it gives you essentially a zero chance of
Uh,
getting the first, like getting it right on the first chance. So that was another place I saw that. um and then finally this third one, I
yeah.
have a friend. This one, it's kind of humorous. um it's for 200 years we made steel by steel wire, um by soaking the steel in urine. um and we never tested, is what
Oh.
about it is making reducing the friction. And then eventually they figured out that water worked just as well. So there are some times where it's very costly, to never test for
Oh
information.
my God. That's a very interesting way of way of putting that, as in success versus information. Like it was just what works rather than like what options are available.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that works. Why does it work? There was never,
uh
like, well, why would I try to make, wire, you know you could say, well, what does urine have? It's water and it's salt. So it's like, why would I could try bathing it in salt, but that might not work. But there are some real
wow.
downsides, like you know messing with urine for 200 years,
What
to
the hell?
never pushing that frontier of knowledge.
How did they get that much urine? That's crazy.
Yeah,
Wow, that's just bizarre. That is strange.
yeah,
Huh. Um, Geez, that's crazy. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Holy um,
yeah.
wow, that's still kind of shocking me. Okay, so
So I guess there's sort of two places. What are other connections we see, and then what are solutions?
yeah, this reminds me of a book by James Gleick I read called The Information and History of Theory of Flood. Um, it's deeply reminiscent of the discussion of Claude Shannon's work.
Yep.
So,
Surprise.
which I do not understand. I really struggled to really understand what Claude Shannon talked about in information theory. He's the one who came up with uh, binary, basically, that
Yeah.
then led to the development of like computers as we know them.
Yep.
And he goes a lot further than that, and it gets really almost kind of philosophical, and I don't really understand.
Yeah.
Like somehow he comes to the conclusion that everything is information, and
Yeah.
entropy and information are related, which I don't understand entropy. So then it just gets
Yeah.
really messy, but it's connected.
What was that Walter Isaacson biography? Well, I mean, the Idea Factory also talks
Yeah,
about Claude
yeah,
Shannon.
you're right.
Um, shoot. And then, yeah, that Walter Isaacson biography about all those people,
The
including
innovators.
Claude. Yeah, the innovators.
I've struggled to read that so many times. I've never done it.
Um, yeah. And then, um, another thing this connects to uh, is our process. Um, the
Yeah.
we struggle to come up with yeah um well, and then we also
Oh
have
yeah.
that problem in there that basically is our general process.
It's catastrophic, right? Picking the
Yeah.
wrong, um, because we often go for success,
Yeah.
what
I
sounds
guess
good.
I guess this is, maybe pushing against that. Is it catastrophic? Yeah, we might choose something that has zero
Um,
chance of success, but if you're getting more information, that might be more valuable. So yeah, the question is success always something we need to be pushing for?
I think it. Yeah, I think what's really interesting is I think it pushes us towards the iterations needed. Really,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think what our process needs to do is iterate as quickly as possible. Like shrink our feedback loops. Like that's, and that, that's kind of what we found from our year of money. Like
Hmm.
dropping all those products at once is, yeah, I think you're right. Is picking the wrong startup idea really that catastrophic? Well, if you don't have good feedback loops, yeah, it is.
Hmm.
But if you do have really good feedback loops, I don't know. No, you have more information now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that said, I also think that there could be value in pushing an idea that has no chance of success as far as it can go. Like from the onset, you say this one has no viable market, to really test that boundary. Um, because you can be surprised by results, and ideas evolve. So it might be, yeah, this one doesn't have potential. I don't know that it's just hard because as you all have seen, we have a lot of ideas, and we can't
Yeah.
push them as, in an ideal world we would be able to pursue all of them doggedly and
Hmm.
then figure out which ones succeed, and then you could really refine your process and say, okay, this succeeded for this reason, and we thought it would for these reasons, or whatnot. You'd have all that information, and you could make really informed decisions. um
Yeah. I know.
but
Yeah.
time
Theoretically.
time and
Yeah.
effort is limited.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So I guess maybe what, like, is it not so much that we do things for success instead of maximizing information, but how do we, is the problem more that we don't extract information from failure?
Well, I think a lot of times we don't reach failure. It's hard to see. This is what I'm like. For example, like so, our first startup called DeepSight. It was a smoke detector company, and what it really took to reach failure was talking to the former head of product for Nest, and him saying, "This market sucks. Get out of here." Like Nest is not beating the market.
Mhm.
You're not going to beat the market. Like, here are the reasons. Here's what you're up against. Don't do this. Your idea is not going to win. Like, I mean, there were other things we did, but like really, it's like how do you reach that failure point as fast as possible?
Mhm.
And I think what really this is kind of interesting. I almost think the ideas we pick should be how like what's the idea that we think has the fastest speed to failure, and that's the idea we should
Oh,
pick. Like
yeah.
so, yeah. So what idea has the fastest speed to failure? So for example, like I'm thinking of the marshmallow sticks, right? So there, the failure speed could be let's
Well,
let's
I mean,
mock something in three. Yeah, let's
well,
build
yeah, I
a
mean, I could
prototype and
walk upstairs, grab some aluminum foil, and reach success or failure in 10 minutes.
so let's do that. Like I think we should start to bias towards those type of ideas where it's like, and
Yeah.
I've been thinking about the plant protein thing, and this goes for how we build solutions too. I was thinking of building a website, and I did this for professional development, so I'm not super mad. I knew it wasn't the most efficient way, but like instead of thinking about building a website, what if we just gave people access to an Airtable sheet that intelligently responded to check marks,
Yeah.
and that was it. That's the fastest to failure that we can say, do people like this or not?
Mm.
Like I think you're onto something. Like, yeah, that gives us the maximum amount of information, because the information that matters isn't, especially I feel like for most of our ideas, it's not, is this technically feasible? Is it's more like, do people even want this? Like,
Mhm.
and so how can we find that out as fast as we can?
Yeah.
Because and the thing about the smarter smoke detector is, and I think one way we could have reached technical failure really quickly with our first startup in DeepSight was showing how difficult the problem was technically. That was one
Mhm.
of those ideas where the edge, we were at the edge,
Mhm.
and we would have had to really, really be committed and exceptional at machine learning, at thermal vision. Like there's a lot to learn there. And I
Mhm.
think that would have pushed us toward failure. But a lot of our ideas are a different failure mode. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really like um I think that'd be interesting to add or eventually modify our stage ratings to include something about, you know, the speed to failure. Or maybe not the
Yeah.
speed to failure, but the speed to information.
Yeah. Yeah. Where could
But
we?
because we
Yeah.
have, these big grand ideas, and they may be, technically feasible for the two of us to do, but you know it's all built out and yada yada yada. And it's like, yeah, we could do that. It just, take a ton of time of coding and whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Basically, what we're trying to do is we're trying to iterate to find a solution that has a low speed to failure. That's the goal of this process, is to find a solution with a low speed to failure.
mhm.
Like that's what we want to come out of our generate and evaluate. Then execute is moving on that.
Mhm.
Yeah. The goal of the generate and evaluate steps is to produce a solution with a low speed to failure. Failure slash information, right?
um Hold on. So the goal, don't we want a fast speed to failure? Like,
Oh, thank you.
okay. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. So really the primary, I mean, we want to think about speed to failure. We want to think about motivation. Expertise is really in some ways a proxy for speed to failure.
Yeah, although I think speed to failure is more clear.
Yeah. Let's update that right now.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm in.
yeah. Well, I feel like um expertise was always a little bit, because we have different skill sets. It always felt a little odd.
Yeah.
Um, where like speed to failure is between the two of us. How quickly can we, you know, make something fail?
Well, and I think it opens it up. Like you can do an Airtable, you know.
Yeah,
We've always had trouble with that. Like, because I've always been like, oh, I like to build stuff out, and I've been doing this as a prof dev type of thing. And I think I need to separate those. I need to have professional development and separately, what we do.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of ended up being the solution, right?
yeah. Um, yeah. I think that's a solution for our process. Are there,
Yeah. Are there
solutions
other?
for the viewers?
Oof. Yeah, you're right. We actually probably need this to be useful. um, that's a great question. Solutions. Oh,
Um,
I've really got to zoom out in my head now to think about something else. Well, I mean, I think about how much does it cost as kind of that. So, and the budgeting process I've kind of developed in collaboration with you. So, for those that don't know, when we spend over a certain amount, we have to ask the question: does it solve a problem? So really, and that's we're trying to get information there about, is this going to make my life better? Is it going to? And then the other one is, does it change how I view the world? Does it change the fundamental primitives I think about? And I think that's an example of thinking about. I used to be really frozen when it came to purchases, and thinking that way has cleared it up for me. Like when I'm thinking about a big purchase, success meant, okay, success was so undefined. What does it mean to enjoy this? What does it mean to, like, why am I buying this? I didn't really have a great reason all the time. And so I often ended up unsatisfied. But now that I'm really thinking about, how is this going to impact my life? Why does it make me think differently? What problem does it solve? Like, then I'm buying this to get more information, and that's a lot lower risk.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, in many ways, this is just a sort of informative problem where it, informs the how often do you think about it problem, and it informs the choosing a wrong startup idea is catastrophic. And yeah,
Yeah.
it just sort of is the backup for all these things.
Yeah. Like, in some ways, this problem and the solutions to it form the backbone of a lot of what we do. Yeah. From the how often app, to, I don't know what else. Lots of
uh
things.
mm,
Big purchaser. I think that's the source actually of this and
yeah,
that. So
yep, yep,
I don't know. I think I kind of want to do more thinking on this,
yeah,
but
not
I don't know if I have a ton on this at the moment off the top
yeah,
in terms
no,
of very particular solutions. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so, yeah.
it's almost too general where it needs to be applied to a situation to be helpful.
Yeah, though, I mean, so for example, like Reality What is Not What It Seems is a book about physics that attempts to quantify information in some interesting ways by tying it to entropy. That's kind of
Mhm.
an interesting like way of thinking about it. Is starting to quantify information. What does that mean? And like, it kind of reminds me of degrees of freedom from calculus.
Hmm.
And also dependency trees, which a friend of mine, a mentor of mine, introduced to me. So it's kind of like this way of thinking about problems where you just trace back what's dependent on what.
Hmm.
Um,
I think
yeah.
this would be ripe for a self-help book.
Yeah, yeah, it would, and then have sections basically.
Yeah, like this type of problem. Here's how you can maximize, or like this kind of situation.
Oh, does this connect to Black Swan? I always think everything connects to Black Swan. I think,
Um, I mean, it connects to anti-fragile, right? Because anti-fragile is all about learning from not so good things.
yeah. So like, it connects to anti-fragile in that information increases our ability to respond to new situations, while success doesn't necessarily do so.
Hmm.
Because like you could be investing in a way that's not sustainable over the long term, but have success in the short term. So you have success, but you don't have information.
Yeah. No, or
Yeah.
like it'd be, you know, uh, you know, back to me, I want to be self-focused. Um, you know, running and then you get shin splints. That's been a fun thing to deal with this week.
Yeah.
Um,
Neil's had a
and it's
great
like,
week.
yeah, it really has. Um, where in many ways that has slowed down my running process. I have not been able to train as much because of them. But that information that I have gathered will hopefully make me a stronger runner in the long run, because I now know what I did that caused the shin splints in this rapid ramp up of running.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so hopefully in the long run it prevents that from happening.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. All right. I don't know that it makes sense to rate this.
Nope.
So let's wrap it up. If you guys have thoughts about this, we'd love to hear them. Yeah, we're gonna start embedding. Well, we're trying to figure out. If you've watched one of our previous videos, we're trying to work on some crowdsourcing and getting people involved, and that includes. There's a volley link now on the Start Here page in Gordium, on our website gordium.us, and we're gonna start posting there so you can really engage with us and talk about the problems, real time with us. So, yeah, but we'll cut it short for now. Thank you for joining us, and yeah, have a good one.